Greetings, everyone. I'm Escane, and this is my 100 Days in Don't Starve Together. I have been playing DSD since 2017, and I really miss the Forge. I hope they bring it back. I chose Endless Playstyle with Caves to experience all the good stuff, and also I'm able to resurrect and switch characters using the Florid Postern. I will be playing alone, so I will be putting a password so no one can enter my world. You know those random fire igniters on the base? I use two server mods and four client mods. I also use map revealer, zoom, shovel, and beefalo statistics, but I make sure whenever I use those mods, I only use them when I need to and remove them afterwards because they always messes up your save file. Winona is the best character for me, but I will be playing as Wendy as she is my most favorite character to play with. Wendy is fun to play because of Abigail. It's sort of like having a companion on your dangerous journey. Upon spawning on the map and caves, I always press Q. It turns the camera to 45 degree. For me, the orientation of the camera is important. As I'm not a fan of always rotating my camera, it does make me dizzy and confusing. The tiles would look like a diamond shape by default. For me, the map doesn't look good and hard to make symmetrical base, but if you want the center, go for it, although the road won't look straight. On the other hand, if the camera is turned by pressing Q or E, tiles would look like a square, which is my preference. My aim for day one is to gather resources to make a science machine, and gather foods such as berries and seeds. I refrain from picking carrots. I like to use them for super emergencies, and I'm not sure if carrots spawns back. I make sure not to overwhelm myself in gathering resources, have to be specific and limit the amount of resources I gather. Chester is usually on the swamp area. Aside from extra storage, Chester will help me a lot in swaying geckos into a safe area. I noticed my maps has lots of geckos, so I better make use of it. Easy grass for me. I wouldn't have to worry for grass during winter season. I can't kill the tall bird yet, because I don't have a sword and a log suit, so I will just focus on shooing away the geckos from the tall bird's nest. On day 2, I continue scaring away geckos in a safe area, away from the rocky land biomes that has meteor showers. Day 3, I gather rocks and hunt gold nuggets for the alchemy engine and bird cage. I built the science machine on a random area, even though this is not the spot I would want to build my base. Just really need to craft bag, alchemy engine, razor, shovel, beefalo bell, lightning rod, and papyrus, so that when I find a spot for my base, it's ready to be used. I finally summoned Abigail because I would need to kill spiders for silk, and before the fight, we need some preparations sword and log suit. I need silk to make a bug net, which allows me to catch fireflies at night or in the caves. On day 4, I scared away my gecko slaves to collect cut grass. Their tails regrow every 2 days. Day 5, I went into the cave to collect some light bulbs for crafting lanterns. Day 6, I collected cut grass from my gecko slaves and I went in the deciduous forest biome to capture some fireflies. Day 7, I decided to kill my fellow pigatives to get pigskin to make a saddle, because I plan to tame an ordinary beefalo. Day 8, I found another rockland biome with a group of geckos. While I was in Savannah biome, I bonded with the beefalo using a bell. I wasn't sure if I can handle the amount of food required to tame a beefalo this early, but I am hopeful with the groups of gecko in this map. Then, at nighttime, I shaved a group of beefalo for wool. Day 9, I finally decided to build my base on the desert biome, near the magma pools and oasis. I used the garden digamajig I found near the geckos. I placed the alchemy engine and crafted miner hat and lantern. Day 10, I hammered some bones for bone shards to make a saddle horn. Then, I crafted saddle horn and saddle to ride my buffalo. I also planted some evergreen and birch nut trees. Day 11, I start my day by feeding the beefalo. Since I am low on resources, I'm only gonna be feeding it 20 cut grass a day, 10 in the morning and 10 in the afternoon. I thought feeding light bulbs increased buffalo's hunger, but I was wrong. But I haven't realized it yet. It does increase obedience though. It will be full moon tonight and I'm rushing to get Glomer. On my way, I stumbled on a tumbleweed and got a gear. I made it just in time, got Glomer and pigskin from Were Pigs. On day 12, finally found a twiggy tree and chopped it for my twig farm, and I just collected cut grass again from my gecko. On day 13, I just gathered rocks, fed my beefalo, and scared some geckos. Beefalo domestication is low with only 20 to 30 cut grass per day, but it's only for the meantime. Riding the beefalo often does help increase it. Day 14, I went into the caves to gather light bulbs. Only fed my beefalo some berries, mushroom, and lots of light bulbs. While gathering light bulbs, I found Starkeye on a rocky turf near Slurturl's camp. I immediately equipped Hutch with a spear and light bulb to transform it into a Fugu Hutch, and I also got a marble during the earthquake. Day 15, I decided to butcher Glomer, in which it instantly spawned Krampus. I made sure there were items on the ground for him to steal, and put justice in my own hand. This act rewarded me with a Krampus sack. And no, I did not get it in one try. I repeated it 20 times until he dropped it. Who doesn't want his fireproof bag? On day 16, I just gathered cut grass from the geckos. While gathering, there was a hound wave. I made sure I was away from the geckos area before annihilating them, because the hound might get distracted and nibble the geckos. Day 17, I hurried back into the base while picking up beefalo manure. Manure and beefalo wool will help me fuel fire pit during winter. Upon arrival, I planted the twiggy seed and marble bean I got. Day 18, I crafted crockpot and icebox. I gathered cactus and uprooted spiky bush to relocate them near my base. This was the day I realized that light bulb does not fill up beefalo hunger. I was also worried that my beefalo looked like a pudgy. So I decided to cook steamed twigs for my beefalo. I also started giving it cactus as it does increase hunger. Day 19, I burned the birch nut tree I planted so that I can get charcoal and warm myself. Autumn is almost over and it's starting to get colder. I maximized the use of the pickaxe until 3%, then used it to make thermal stone which prevents freezing and overheating. Charcoal is needed to make a crock pot and drying rack. You get a jerky for drying raw meat for 2 days and spoils at a slow rate. I always bring jerky with me because it heals and increases sanity. Day 20, I just continued uprooting spiky bush and gathering cactus, which both regrow after 4 days. Cactus is a good way to gain sanity, but requires you to wear log suit or ride beefalo to reduce damage taken from harvesting it. I planted the spiky bush on my base. It's a nice way to get twigs, and they even grow during summer and winter. I never really liked to plant saplings and berries because of the disease mechanics, but I heard they removed it after Reap What You Saw update. Day 21 is the start of winter season, which allows you to hunt, MacTask, and sun. This is the first thing I do on my first winter, because MacTask drops Tusk and Tam Shanter. The tusk allows you to craft walking cane, which increases movement speed by 25%, while Tam Shanter is a headgear that restores sanity. Chester is a great help when killing the Muktas group. You just let the hounds nibble on Chester. He'll be fine though. Then, you chase Walrus until he goes far away, and attack him when he tries to go back to the camp. Day 22, I planted a twiggy seed, gathered some cactus, and uprooted the remaining spiky bushes in the oasis to clear the area. Afterwards, I planted a twiggy seed near my base, which is conveniently located close to the magma pools. The warmth from the magma is a real lifesaver during the winter season. Whenever I sit near it, it instantly warms me up, and my thermal stone absorbs heat effectively, keeping me comfortable and safe from the cold. Day 23, I decided to venture out and explore the map a bit, looking for new resources and familiarizing myself. While exploring, I discovered a neat little trick for getting ice early on in the game by running along the edge of the map during early winter. Doing this has a chance that a Pengal camp might spawn, and these camps contain mini glaciers. The best part is that you can mine these mini glaciers for ice, which is incredibly useful as a food filler and in crafting. Ice lasts forever when you put it in the ice box. I was feeling pretty good about my progress until, out of nowhere, a hound wave appeared. I knew I had to get ready for a fight. These waves can be pretty intense, especially when you're not fully prepared. Day 24, my first batch of spiky bushes finally grew. It took a while, but it was definitely worth the wait. The best part is that I don't need to worry about fertilizing them, which saves me some time and resources. Now, I've got a steady supply of twigs that I can use for crafting and feeding my beefalo. After that, I chopped down a few trees to gather more wood and planted evergreen trees. I like to keep a good supply of trees around for when I need logs, providing a sustainable resource for the future. Day 25, I started my day by planting another batch of swiggy seed near my base, hoping to multiply them. After that, I made sure to warm myself up by sitting near the magma pools. Nothing beats that instant warmth during colder days. Once I was all warmed up, I went out and hunted tumbleweeds, gathering any useful items. And while I was out, I decided to take another walrus camp. Day 26, the battle continues against the walrus. I've got a total of 4 walrus camps scattered across my map, which is great, but also means I'll need to be extra cautious when taking them on. With that in mind, I decided to explore my world a bit more today to get a better feel for the layout and plan my next moves. It's always good to know where all the key resources are and figure out how to maximize them. Day 27, I headed over to my gecko farm to gather some cut grass. I'll need a lot of it soon, as I'm planning to craft around 20 drying racks for preserving food. It's going to take a little bit of time and effort, but it'll be worth it in the long run. While gathering resources, I also needed a way to stay warm, so I resorted to burning a few trees. The flames from the burning trees provided the warmth I needed, and it was a quick solution to keep me from freezing. Day 28, I headed back to my base and immediately warmed myself up by sitting near the magma pool. Once I was nice and toasty, I went out to gather some cactus for food. Afterwards, I harvested the twigs from my spiky bushes, which gave me a good supply of twigs. I then chopped down a few twiggy trees and made sure to plant their seeds right away, ensuring I'll have a steady supply of them in the future. I'm trying to stay on top of resources so I don't run into shortages later on. Day 29, I decided to mine some ice near the Pengal camp. It's always a good idea to stock up on ice, especially it's such a useful resource. Ice works perfectly as a filler for meatballs, so having a steady supply on hand is convenient. Day 30, I spent some time preparing for an upcoming battle with the one eyed giant. He has a habit of making surprise visits, so I wanted to make sure I was ready. But before jumping into the fight, I had a few chores to take care of first. I mined the stage 3 marble bean, then I chopped down a few twiggy trees and immediately planted their seeds. After that, I cooked up some food and made sure I had enough for the battle, and fed my beefalo to keep it in good health. With food, armor, and light all checked off the list, I'm feeling as prepared as I can be. Now it's just a matter of waiting for the giant to show up. Day 31, the intense battle between Deerclops and Dragonfly. Honestly, I didn't want to fight Deerclops myself. It would have taken an entire day and drained all of my sanity by the time it was over. But thankfully, there are actually a couple of other ways to take care of him, and maybe in the future I'll show it. But for now, this is how it ended for Deerclops. While I was dealing with him, those hounds were being a real nuisance. If I hadn't killed the ice hound, it would have ended up eating all the loot that dropped from the battle. And speaking of loot, The eyeball that Deer Clubs dropped is really important. It's key for crafting eyebrow, which is essential for staying dry during rainy days. After the battle, I quickly rushed to the picking forest to take advantage of the full moon. I need some pig skin for crafting, and I also want to get lumber. With everything coming together, it was a productive night. Day 32, I decided to destroy some spider den to gather a lot of silk. Not only did I need the silk for crafting, but I also wanted to prevent those nests from turning into spider queens. Those queens can be a real pain to deal with, so clearing the nest keeps the area safer and gives me a steady supply of silk. It's a good way to stay on top of those nests before they get out of hand. Day 33, I was finally able to fully tame an ordinary buffalo. And let me tell you, it was a long journey. Around day 30, I started feeling a bit sad and worried because it didn't seem like it was going to be an ordinary. He looked more like a pudgy, relaxed buffalo than the fierce one I was hoping for. But after some intense battle with the spiders, something changed. I noticed its face starting to shift. It was finally taking on that ordinary look I'd been waiting for. It took me 2 seasons to tame one, but it was definitely worth it. Now I have a reliable beefalo to ride into battle and use for extra mobility, which will come in handy when facing tougher challenges ahead. The process may have been slow, but the payoff was absolutely worth it. Day 34, I gathered some grass from my gecko farm. Those little geckos have been great, and it's been really useful for crafting and building. Winter was about to come to an end, so I decided to go out and butcher some walrus again. I was hoping for more valuable loot, and I wasn't disappointed. This time I got a walrus tusk and another tam o' shanter hat, which is always a nice find. The worm hat will definitely come in handy for cave adventures. Day 35, after my trip to the walrus camp, I headed back to my base to do some chores. Once I was back, I took some time to collect twigs from my spiky bush farm. Day 36, I decided to use a shovel mod to move the cactus away from my base, since I can't uproot it, and also I didn't want to burn it. Also, I noticed that there's a meteor shower area near my base, which could cause some chaos, so I'll need to keep an eye on that. With the cactus repositioned, I crafted an umbrella to stay dry during the inevitable rainy days ahead. It's such a useful item to have around, especially during spring and in the caves. You can also craft an umbrella. It does protect you from rain, but it equips as a weapon. Day 37, I decided to try and take on a goose giant, but it turned out to be a lot tougher than I expected. I wasn't quite used to fighting it, and its attack caught me off guard a few times. The goose giant can be pretty challenging, especially if you don't have the right strategy or aren't well prepared for its moves. Day 38, after the battle with the goose giant, I took a break and decided to chop down a few more twiggy trees. I gathered the twigs and made sure to plant the seeds right away, keeping the cycle going. Day 39, I finally set up the bird cage and added a bird to it. It took a bit of time to get everything in place, but now I've got a reliable source for eggs. To get things started, I fed the bird some cooked monster meat. It drops seed and eggs depending on what you feed. The main reason I wanted the eggs, though, is to trade them with the pig king for gold nuggets. I'm planning to gather a lot of gold nuggets as I want to craft golden tools. They're much more durable and efficient than regular tools, so having a stash of them will make a life lot easier in the long run. Day 40, I spent some time doing base chores today, taking care of little tasks that keep everything running smoothly. I made sure all of my resources were organized and checked on my farm. Day 41, I placed a lightning rod right in the center of my base. It's crucial protection. Lightning strikes during storms can set flammable items on fire, and with so much invested in this space, I can't afford to lose it all to one unlucky bolt. Better safe than sorry. While I was at it, I also hung some meat up on the drying rack. Just as I was settling down, I heard a familiar growling in the distance. There was another hound wave. Day 42, I crafted drying rack. This is a big step forward in my survival strategy. The drying rack will allow me to preserve meat and other food items, which is essential for my long-term survival in Don't Starve Together. With winter looming, having dried food means I'll have something to fall back on when fresh resources are scarce. Plus, it's just nice knowing that I'm slowly building up my food stockpile, which will come in handy as the days get tougher. Day 43, today I decided to make an extra bag. It's such a good way to store up all the stuff I've been collecting. The bag is easy to craft and it gives me space to carry up 8 items, which is really helpful when I need to keep my inventory organized. Also, I spent some time tending to my plot farm today. Everything's growing nicely and I'm making sure to keep it well maintained. The farm is still a reliable source of food and it's nice to have that steady supply, especially when things get tough in the game. Still trying to learn how to grow those giant crops though. On day 44, I crafted a sewing kit to repair my ibrella and Tamo Shanter hat, knowing that if I didn't, they'd break and disappear. I then mined a stage 3 marble bean, and then harvested it, and replanted it to keep the cycle going. Later, I successfully took down a few moslings, collecting some valuable resource in the process. Day 45, I spent some time gathering berries and twigs to stock up on supplies. I also decided to take a vault goat and successfully took it down for some meat. To make the fight easier, I made sure to aggro Abigail first because vault goats tend to run away when approached, giving me a better chance to finish the fight without them escaping. Day 46, I just did some base chores like harvesting twigs. Day 47, I ventured into the caves to gather light bulbs. Day 48, while I was in the caves, I also decided to take on a stage 3 spider den for some silks. On day 49, I faced off against the giant goose again, and this time it went a lot better than my first attempt. I had learned from my earlier mistakes and was much more prepared for the fight. After defeating the giant goose, I made sure to lead the moslings away from the loot, getting them to chase me so they wouldn't eat any of the valuable drops I earned from the battle. On day 50, I decided to set up a bird cage near the Pig King. This way, I could easily collect eggs without having to travel back to my base. On day 51, I had to deal with frog rain, which made the day a bit more chaotic as frogs started hopping everywhere. I traded some eggs for gold nuggets, which gave me a nice supply of precious resources. Later, under the full moon, I encountered werepigs and took them down. Day 52, I fed 4 monster meat to the pigs, luring them into turning into werepigs. Once they transformed, I took them down for some cheeky butts and meat. However, these werepigs really started to drain my sanity. Good thing I have the Tamil Shanter hat. Day 53, I traded lots of eggs to the Pig King for gold nuggets. Later, I faced another hound wave, and this time it included a mini warg, which was cute but pesky. After dealing with the wave, I spent some time collecting a lot of cut grass. Day 54, I went into the cave to get some light bulbs, and on my way to the base, I stole 2 gears near the Clockwork Knight area. Day 55, I let Abigail handle the frog rain, but there's just too many of them, so I tried to help with my buffalo. Now I have a lot of meat again to trade to the Pig King. Oh, froggers! There was another frog rain. I just run around because Abigail's health is critical, same with the beefalo. After the chaos of the frog rain, I decided to craft an ice flingomatic, planning to place it right in the center of my base. Having a base near the magma pools is definitely risky. Those burning tumbleweeds can easily spread fire to everything nearby. The last thing I need is to watch my hard work go up in flames. With the ice flingomatic, I'll be able to quickly put out any fires that start, giving me a bit of peace of mind and protecting my base from disaster. It's a small investment for long term safety, and hopefully, it'll keep things running smoothly. Day 56, I decided to let Abigail take the aggro. It's a great way to farm butterfly wings for my gossamer saddle, which requires a whooping 70 wings to craft. To make sure I'm getting the most out of it, I've been careful to only plant one flower at a time. That way, I can control the spawn area for the butterflies and maximize my chances of getting those precious wings. But things quickly took a turn when I found myself in the oasis. A sandstorm hit out of nowhere. As if that wasn't enough, I still need to get a goggle mask to complete my plans. It's a bit of a grind, but I'm determined to push through. Day 57, I did some fishing in the oasis to pass the time and managed to snag the goggle blueprint I was after. Goggles is a must when your base is on the oasis. The goggles gives you the ability to see clearly even during a sandstorm, which makes navigating through this place so much easier. Day 58, today was all about base maintenance. I spent most of the day chopping down trees and planting new ones to keep my supply of wood steady. There's always something that needs to be done, so I also took the time to do some cooking, making sure I have plenty of food ready for the coming days. Day 59, I decided to fight the antlion. I gave it a chilled thermal stone with low durability. I also made sure I had the regular thermal stone to avoid overheating during the battle. It was a quick fight, I just kept my distance and avoided the sandcastle. Icebox is the real MVP during summer season. Just need two thermal stone, one charging up cold, while the other keeps me chill. No more overheating during summer, no need for endothermic fire pit. In the end, the antlion dropped some useful blueprints, the lazy deserter and turf racer helm. Both will come in handy for the future plans. Day 60, today was just all about tending to my farm and doing base chores. I spent most of my time chopping and gathering resources, making sure everything is stocked up for the upcoming days. In addition, I've been using Abigail to farm butterfly wings. I've made the decision not to explore the world during summer. The last thing I want is to accidentally trigger a forest fire. It's better to stay close to the base and focus on farming. Day 61, I harvested twigs and mined some marbles. Day 62, I planted marble beans. I just keep on multiplying the marbles for my future marble farm. And also I spent some time drying frog legs to preserve them for later. Day 63, my crops have been looking good, so I took some time to harvest the vegetables. Day 64, I chopped evergreen trees near my base. Luckily, tree guard spawned, as I needed some live-in log to craft gossamer saddle. Butterfly wings was completed thanks to Abigail. I can finally craft the gossamer saddle. Day 65, I decided to put my gossamer saddle to good use and hopped onto my beefalo. The mobility is definitely going to make a huge difference for exploring and gathering. Of course, no day is ever completely peaceful. Soon after, a hound wave hit. It was a chaotic fight, but thankfully I was ready for it. Managed to hold my ground and fend them off. In between all the actions, I made sure to harvest some twigs to keep my supply up. Day 66, I tended the farm and chopped some twiggy trees. Day 67, I got attacked by the Lord of the Fruit Flies and then it dropped a friendly fruit fly fruit. It summons a friendly fruit fly that visits nearby farm plants to make them happy. Unfortunately, crops abandoned by the player will receive no benefit from its tending capabilities. Day 68, I crafted a boat to make island hopping easier. My plan is to place them in between the islands, creating a quick and efficient way to travel from one to the next. This will definitely help with resource gathering and exploration, making it much more convenient to get around. Then took down some spider's nests for some silks. Day 69, I paid a visit to my loyal gecko minions, gave them a hearty hello. Then I descended into the caves to hunt for some much needed light bulbs. On the way back, I came across a spider dance and promptly wiped it off the face of the map. Day 70, I spent the day clearing out spider dens, taking down as many as I could find. Day 71, despite the chaos, I made sure to plant some of the spider eggs back. Since it was a full moon, I took the opportunity to hunt down some werepigs. Then I harvested grass from my gecko farm. Day 72, I was able to trade some of the seeds I had gathered with the carnival items from the Midsummer Carnival event. Day 73, I spent a good amount of time harvesting twigs. After that, I fed some meat to the bird to get a few eggs. Then, I decided to mine some marbles. Day 74, I harvested cactus. And after that, I spent a lot of time crafting marble beans. Day 75, Berger arrived, my favorite giant boss. He's such a unique sight, a massive walking chainsaw of destruction. His lumbering presence is both terrifying and fascinating, especially when he starts tearing through everything in his path. Honestly, I love the chaos he brings. Aggroing Berger turned out to be surprisingly smooth like butter when I had the beefalo by my side. Riding the beefalo made all the difference. Its speed and durability allowed me to stay out of Berger's way while still keeping him on my tail. Day 76. Finally, I was satisfied with Berger's rampage. He is a big help chopping up trees and spawning those tree guards. Unfortunately, Berger got knocked down by the tree guards. Day 77, after the chaos settled, I collected all the logs that Berger had chopped down for me. It was like he did half the work for me. The ground was littered with so many logs, which saved me a ton of time gathering them myself. It's like a little bonus for surviving his rampage. Now I have a huge stockpile of logs to work with. I'll definitely be able to use them for crafting or building in the days ahead. Day 78, today was a bit of everything. I spent some time farming berries, mined marbles, and I also had to fight off a pack of hounds. Day 79, I was finally able to set up my marble farm. I planted lots of marble bean near the clockwork rook area. Once they become stage 3, it will be easy for the rook to swipe the marbles. I also started organizing my resources around the beehive, as I'm planning to take down the bee queen. Later in the day, I made sure to visit the marble bean I planted earlier. These beans need to be checked at every stage of their growth, so I made sure to give it the attention it needed. On my way to the base, I saw some suspicious dirt and investigated on it. I followed the 7 traces of dirt and found a coliphant. I was hoping to find an equus, but coliphant are fine as extra pooper. Day 80, I took down a tall bird and gathered some valuable rocks at the meteor shower area, which is conveniently located just below my base. It's a great spot for resources, especially with all the meteorite rocks scattered around. But things didn't stay peaceful for long. While I was gathering, a hound wave suddenly hit, so I had to fight them. Day 81, after taking care of some base chores and drying meat for storage, I decided to take on a few spiders and clear out some of their dens. Once that was done, I headed over to the evergreen forest to help the peeps spooks. These little guys needed my help finding trinkets, and in return, they dropped 2 to 3 morning glory. The morning glory is super useful. It allows me to craft ghostly elixirs, which I'll need to boost Abigail's potential. Day 82, I started the day by taking down a pig. Sorry, buddy. Survival of the fittest. I'm still helping out that lost little peep spook, chasing after those morning glories. I needed about 20, so the grind continues. I ran into a few spiders while hunting for trinkets. Day 83, I exchanged some seeds from the Carnival event. On my way back to the base, I did not notice the Marauders followed me. While I was busy dropping off my items, they were busy ransacking my icebox. Amazing thieves. I did not even notice the Marauders at that time. I only saw the crime scene while I was editing the footage, and next time I will have to kill them on sight. Day 84, I decided to craft telltale hearts. I'll be needing a bunch of them, plus some healing supplies to go with. Each one cost 40 health to make. Then I went to the lake to capture 3 fireflies. Fireflies are available on the second autumn. Then you can catch fireflies every season except summer. They naturally spawn around the center of the lake when it fills every summer, eliminating it at night. They are not catchable while the lake is full of water. Day 85, I spent the day harvesting grass from my trusty gecko farm. Day 86, I was back on Peep Spook duty today, still chasing that goal of 40 morning glories. It's a slow process, but I'm getting there, one spooky step at a time. Day 87, I headed into the caves to stock up on light bulbs, and on my way back, I got attacked by leopard worms. Day 88, I got everything I need in the caves and headed back to the base. I stopped by to check on my stage 2 marble beans and also took a detour to harvest some tumbleweeds and cactus along the way. Day 89, I spent the day just cooking up a ton of pierogi. They're perfect for boss fights. The recipe's simple, 1 veggie, 2 eggs, and 1 meat. Preparing to take down the bee queen, I needed that blueprint for the bundle wrap. It'll make storing food so much easier and save me some serious inventory space. Day 90, I continued as a chef and cooked more pierogi. I don't know how much I would be needing, but the more the merrier. I've also got some jerky stored up just in case things gets rough. I also took down Volt Goat near my base to get some fresh meat. I needed to craft a fresh ham bat. Day 91, by the time I finished all my cooking and prepping, winter had already rolled in. Warmed myself up by the magma pool. Then I crafted a hammer and a bunch of rope, gearing up for the fight. I made a marble suit just in case I needed some extra defense, and also crafted a log suit and a beekeeper's hat. Day 92, I hammered down the beehive nest to trigger the fight. Then, I gave Abigail Nightshade Nostrum, which makes her deal nighttime damage during daytime and dusk. When it came to the actual battle, my strategy was all about patience and positioning. Instead of running after the bee queen and risking unnecessary damage, I let her come to me. This gave me better control over my movement, making it easier to land clean hits. As for Abigail, I let her take care of the grumblebees. With her handling the swarm, I could keep my focus on the queen without being overwhelmed. When Abigail's health dropped to 300, I would give her the Spectral Cure All. It regenerates Abigail's health at 20 per seconds for over 30 seconds around 600 health. Using the elixir lesser than 300, she might get wiped out immediately. The reason why I needed a Telltale Heart was to craft a Spectral Cure All elixir for Abigail. There's usually a road near the nest. I make sure to make use of it. I stand near the road area to speed up my movement. Throughout the fight, I did not let Abigail get aggressive, as she will focus on chasing the bee queen and not the grumblebees. During the fight, I also make sure I replace the log suit and beekeeper's hat that are 10%. Day 93. Without wasting any time, I crafted a bundle wrap. These things are incredibly useful for preserving important resources. I bundled up hambat, jerky, pierogi, and a few light bulbs, essential supplies for an upcoming battle. Having them safely wrapped means I won't have to stress about the light bulbs spoiling quickly, especially since they decay fast outside of caves. Now, I'm feeling a lot more prepared for what's to come. Day 94, I spent most of the day gathering cactus. After that, I headed over the meteor shower area to check for any boulders that might have landed. I managed to mine a few, grabbing some extra resources. Day 95, while out exploring, I came across a suspicious boulder and decided to mine it. It dropped a celestial orb. This little item is pretty special. Once placed, it unlocks a couple of important crafting recipes, including the Moonrock Idol and the Celestial Filter. Day 96, I harvested twigs to top off my supplies. Then, mined two marbles in my base, which indicates that the marble near the rook area are also stage 3. Day 97, I decided to let a clockwork rook do the heavy lifting today. I lured it over to my marble farm and let it charge through all the fully grown pieces. Saved me the trouble of mining them myself. Then I collected the marbles and crafted marble beams. Day 98, after collecting marble beans, I replanted all of them, effectively doubling my future harvest. Based on what I've seen, it looks like it takes about 2 seasons for marble to reach stage 3, so now it's just a waiting game. Patience will definitely pay off. I made a quick trip to retrieve some items stolen by the marauders. Later on, I ran into a spider queen and decided to take her down. Since it's already winter, I did not have any proper fire pit on me, so I set the tree on fire to stay warm. I made sure there were no flammable items nearby. Day 99, today, I summoned the werepig by feeding it 4 monster meat. While harvesting lumber, I was also helping the pig spook with its lost trinkets. But I was getting frustrated. No halo was showing up to guide me, and I couldn't figure out why. It turns out the trinket was on a completely different island. No wonder I was running around in circles. Classic DST moment. Day 100, I planted couple marbles in my base. Few days after I planted marble beans near the rook area. It's a small move, but it'll give me a visual cue for when the rest of the marble is ready to harvest. A little quality of life trick to keep things running smoothly without constantly checking the whole farm. It's good to hunt suspicious dirt during winter in savanna and desert biome as they are easy to find. And finally, I got a winter coliphant after several suspicious dirt. And lastly, I visited my stage 1 marble bean near the Clockwork Rook area. And that's how I wrap my 100 days in Don't Starve together. I will also be uploading the full video of each of the days. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Feel free to comment if you have any questions, wild reactions, or maybe feedback. I would appreciate them. Thank you so much.